evening, everyone. My name is Nick, and I'm speaking to you for Critical Hit. And this evening, we're going to be looking at the new David Sandberg movie, Annabelle Creation. Now, I don't know if any of you guys have seen the 2014 Annabelle. It was pretty, well, shit, to be honest with you. There were a few quite nice moments in it that definitely got a scare, but the majority of the movie was sort of cheap jump scares with very little sort of character introspection. Now, that's not to say that the 2017 Annabelle, which is actually a prequel to the 2014, so it's a sort of origin story, is deep and has a lot of character depth. It doesn't really. I think there's enough there just to keep us interested, and we are certainly interested. I mean, this time we have 5 or 6 children, ranging from the ages of, I think, about 16 years old to, I think, 8 years old. At least the actress is 8 years old. And dealing with a topic like this, horror and demonic possession, must have been quite scary for the kids, but apparently not so much. The 8-year-old kid, in fact, I forget her name, Morgan or something, is actually named after a character from The Ring. So a lot of these kids were kind of, prepped and ready on stage. That doesn't mean that they didn't bless the set. Apparently a priest came in and blessed it just in case anybody was freaking out. And they didn't leave the kids alone with the doll, because you just never know. You know what I mean? So, what was the movie like? Well, we enjoyed it a lot more, because we actually got to watch it at a screening with our readers. So last Thursday, we got together in Cape Town, we got together in Joburg, and with about 120 people, and yeah, I think a lot of people enjoyed it. I think because it was quite a festive atmosphere, people did sort of, maybe talk a bit more, and laugh and cry out a lot more. It was very loud, let's put it that way. It kind of reminded me of what it must have been like for during the Shakespearean days at the Globe. But yeah, I think the movie was fun. Let's look at the good points about it. The young actresses were phenomenal. They really were. They were absolutely brilliant. They were very convincing. They didn't irritate me, which I thought that they might. And even with the whole "don't go in that door again," you can kind of understand why a kid would do it. Most kids are curious and dumb because they're children. Whereas, a lot of the other movies, like The Conjuring as well, is guilty of this too. This is, of course, part of the Conjuring universe and the 4th movie in that universe. Watching parents do it, watching adults do it, there's really no excuse, just run the hell out of the house. So yes, it was refreshing to see it from that point of view. And I think it upped the stakes a bit. You kind of were a lot more afraid for the young girls. And like I say, they did a very, very good job of carrying quite hectic scenes. I mean, there were some very, very hectic scenes in this. So is it scary? I would say yes. It's not scary like the first Annabelle, in that every 3 minutes there's a jump scare. I mean, there were 1 or 2, but they were done in a way that was kind of like a tongue-in-cheek, you see what you did there? A guy standing next to his daughter, and it wasn't an evil thing or whatever. But the majority of the movie was well done, because it was very well directed. Sandberg, of course, became quite famous with Lights Out. He did a very short movie of it, which was basically cost nothing, and it was acknowledged and recognized. And then they actually went and they made a huge sort of affair out of it. I'm just trying to remember how much money he sunk into. It was almost nothing. It was almost absolutely nothing that was sunk in. But as I say, so he became quite famous with this movie, which I actually haven't seen. I'm hoping to watch it this weekend. But James Wan worked, well, at least at James Wan's production company. James Wan directed and produced the first Conjuring, and I don't know if he directed the second one. I wasn't that impressed with the second one anyway. But Wan took a liking to the Swedish director and he pushed, and yeah, so he made his full-length movie of Lights Out. I hear it's pretty damn scary too, and this movie was quite scary. Annabelle was very scary. Annabelle Creation was pretty scary. Firstly, he's a very good director, and he knows how to build suspense, like really knows how to build suspense. From movement, on a bunk, you're on the top of the bunk and then something's jumping underneath and the bunk shakes. I haven't seen it done before, actually. A lot of things I have seen done before, with the sort of dark doorways, throwing something in, it comes back out, that's been done before. But what he was able to do, and masterfully at that, was build suspense over a long period of time. So you would have something happening, and it would be 5 minutes before you get the payoff, before the big bad thing actually happens. So that I really, really appreciated. It wasn't a quick boom. You got invested in it, and the people around me, in particular the one to my right, the lady to my right, you could see the tension. It was there, and it was real. I think if people weren't joking around and laughing, it would have added more to that. So I can understand why one person decided to leave. But at the same time, Even the director said that he wants people to laugh at this movie after they've been sort of wired up and they freak out. He wants people to do that nervous expelling of tension, and it definitely does do that. There's been a couple of moments in this movie where it's quite comical, especially one of the moments towards the end, which of course I will not say, but you sort of sit there and go, you gotta be kidding, but he does it on purpose, so he sort of pushes this little bit of humour in there, which I also haven't really seen in these horror movies, especially not in like Conjuring 1 and Conjuring 2, which takes itself extremely serious, to better or maybe not so good effect, I'm not sure. But like I said, the second one wasn't so... the actual doll itself, yes, of course, why you would create a doll and give this to anybody is beyond my comprehension. It is a freaking doll, it's a freakish story doll, and yeah, the monster or demon or whatever the hell you want to call it around it, which I don't want to go into because it'll ruin it, is also pretty freaky too. There's quite a few moments where you're actually staring, looking at this thing, which they did in the first movie, which was from 2014, Annabelle, like the demon standing on the stairs is staring at you, and I haven't seen that done in many movies. So again, quite a few new things that I haven't seen in this. Out of 10, oh sorry, let's look at the bad things. Okay, bad things, it does play with some new things, as I said just now, but it also plays with a lot of old things that I have seen before lots of times. Even the black vomiting and all that kind of stuff, it's done. Unfortunately, it's a horror movie. I don't see how much leeway you can have there, so that didn't really work. The adults in this movie are really just there as perhaps plot movers because they don't do shit, so they were kind of useless. It is graphically very almost gore porn, which I don't really like. There's a scene where you literally see someone's hands being turned inside out, and while it definitely did get everyone going, oh my god, and one particular person, one of the readers, had his popcorn box in front of his face, apparently for most of the movie, I felt it was kind of shoehorned in there to literally titillate and shock, whereas the rest of the theme and the rest of the sort of feel and atmosphere of the movie was doing very well without having to have that shoved in there. Just jumping back to the good things, because I'm just thinking, I don't want to give anything away, but it does build up very well into the 2014 movie. It's just Annabelle. So as an origin story, it makes so much more sense. Well, I think if I watched Annabelle, after watching Annabelle Creation, I would have enjoyed Annabelle more. Because there were just so many unanswered questions in that, which are answered in this movie. So if you haven't watched the other one, that is completely fine. If you haven't watched any of the Conjuring movies, that's completely fine as well. Works very well as a standalone movie. And yeah, I think you'll get your bang for your buck. Just, yeah, maybe, like I say, make sure that you go to a cinema where you are happy with people screaming and chatting and stuff, which I think you probably would get. Maybe not as much as a festive outing with the team at Critical Hit, but yeah, I think this is a movie that will have a lot of people laughing and nervously laughing. So yeah, I think pretty damn good. I would give it, I did think at first maybe an 8, but no, I'm going to bring it down now. To a 7. It was originally sitting at 81% on Rotten Tomato when it first came out. Actually, the movie, which only cost $15 million to produce, is actually sitting on 100 million, or just 99.6 million right now, which has now pushed the Conjuring series of movies just over $1 billion, and that would be the third horror franchise that has done that. The first being Alien, and I'm not quite sure how many of the aliens, but that would be Aliens, and Aliens, and I'm just trying to remember the other one now. Oh god, I'm sure it's on here somewhere. Resident Evil, of course. Even though, oh god, Resident Evil is like that last movie. Yeah. So Aliens, Resident Evil, and then The Conjuring as horror movies in a row. So well done to James Wan for getting it going. And yeah, like I say, I think people enjoy this. If you like horrors, you're going to love it. If you don't like horrors, don't go and watch a horror. So yeah, what we're also going to do is, unfortunately the quality is pretty damn bad, I'm going to see actually whether I'm going to do this or not. We got a couple of people to comment as they're walking out the cinema, and that's why the quality is so bad, because of course cinemas are quite dark, and so are the foyers. So the lighting is pretty shitty, so I'll see whether I'm going to include this. And of course my phone goes now. I'll see if I'm going to include this, but until then, I hope you guys enjoy, and speak to you soon. What do you think?
Scary, the first one.
Out of 10?
5.5.
What do you guys think?
Pretty good.
Pretty good?
Yeah.
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10, yeah? 7 out of 10. Awesome. What do you think?
I think it was pretty scary.
I thought so too. I thought it was pretty good.
I thought it was absolutely terrible.
Out of 10?
I don't know, you're the horror.
I gave it an 8 because it was truly
Yeah, I
scary
think so.
Yeah.
and I can't cleaned up. I think it was better than the previous one.
It was good. It was good, but I don't know. I don't find it scary. I don't find it as scary maybe as like the first one or the first two contracts.
Okay.
Although it might be because of the screams around me that made me laugh.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. Cool.
Diffuse the tension. But I enjoyed it. It was good.
Definitely one of the stranger romantic comedies I've ever seen.